you can start the recording.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, everybody. I'll mute here.
All right, so this is the Maynard Zoning Board of Appeals. It's September 25th, 2023, 7:04 p.m. And the first item on the agenda on our remote meeting is to review and approve the minutes of July 24th, 2023. Do we have a motion to approve?
I have one thing, Paul. We need to fix Brad's name in two places. Schultz does not end in an X or an S. He's got an X on the first page and an S on the second page.
Good for you for catching that. But first, I need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of, was it July 24th? Was that it?
Correct.
And with the changes to Mr. Schultz's name.
Good. Do I get a second?
Second.
All right. Any other edits, comments? Hearing none. Let's do a roll call. John, are you in favor?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Paige?
Yes.
Leslie?
Yes.
And I'll vote in favor as well. So that carries.
Okay. Can we get another letter for Brad's last name on the next minutes? We'll get
All right. So now we have a public hearing, 27 Park Street special permit. The application for the special permit is filed by Kelly Boucher on behalf of Jason Sherrigan, 27 Park Street, Maynard. The subject property at 27 Park Street is a non-conforming single-family dwelling on a corner lot in a general residence district. Per section 10.4 of the protective zoning bylaws, this applicant is requesting a special permit to rebuild the damaged structure as a two-family dwelling while working within the existing non-conforming front setbacks, plural, 25 feet required. So I would ask the applicant, who I believe is Kelly, to...
Yeah, hi, I'm Kelly Boucher.
Oh, there you are. You keep
I'm
moving
here.
around on the images here.
I can see myself.
Yeah.
I'm the architect for the project, and also here, I'm going to do the presentation, but Jason Sherrigan, the homeowner, is also here in case there are any more homeowner-related questions and architecture-related questions. We share my screen. Can everybody see?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So I'm going to start just with a quick zoning review. As you probably all already know, the house at 27 Park Street suffered a catastrophic gas explosion a few years ago that left the house in fully almost demolished. It's still there now, but the Sherrigan family has spent a little bit of time working with their insurance agency and all the other parties involved to work out how to build the house back. And now that that's been settled, we're here to present a project to you today. The existing house was a single family, and it was located with this same corner, 8.3 feet from Park Street and 12.4 feet from Sherman Ave. And the project that we're proposing to put back uses that same street corner that the house sat at before as the corner of the house. We're hoping that we can reuse the foundation in some places, although the main structure is damaged beyond repair and is not able to be reused. So it'll be new framing, a new building above. And in looking at the lot, what we are proposing is, besides these two existing non-conforming setbacks, is a two-family project that otherwise meets all the intent of the zoning ordinance. So the existing driveway and curb cut remains. The existing garage, which was undamaged by the fire, also remains. And what we're proposing is an attached two-family with one unit that faces Park Street and one unit that faces Sherman Street. So here on the right is our existing site plan, and you can see the existing house is in yellow, the driveway comes in and the garage in the back. And on the left is our proposed plan with the Park Street unit in the place where the existing house used to be, and the Sherman Street unit in a conforming location, besides that it still maintains, it's now 12.9 feet from Sherman Ave, so we're not at a 25-foot setback, but we're trying to get a special permit to keep the existing non-conforming setback in place with our new construction. Here is a neighborhood image. This is Sherman Street and Park. Here you can see our house in the location of the old house. Is generally the same size and scale of abutting properties in the neighborhood, as sort of typical, a residential two-family. We have basement plans, first floor. Each unit is a three-bedroom, sort of a single family house feel, with all the living space on the first floor and bedrooms above. Here's our roof plan. So 3 bedrooms for the front unit, 3 bedrooms for the back unit. And here are the elevations. So this on the bottom is what the property will look like from Sherman Street. Here's the front door for the Sherman Street unit, and above is what it will look like from the Park Street side. Here's the existing garage, and this porch you can see is the front porch for the Sherman Street front unit. We've got the back and the driveway side elevation here. Very residential looking property. A building section and some 3D views of what it will look like, although you won't really get this view much in real life. It's kind of up in the air. And here is a side-by-side comparison with the existing house on the left and our proposed structure here on the right. And this corner point where you can see where the downspouts are coming down in the old house is the same location of where this column is in our new proposed plan. So that's what we're looking to do. I'm happy to answer questions about design or zoning or intent. And leave it up to you.
So on your diagram on the right,
Mhm.
I think I see the setback requirements on the left.
Oh yeah, it's
upper
this.
right.
Yep, and
Where did-
it's this line here. It's kind of underneath the plan. I don't know if I can draw on this. Hang on.
Okay, through there and then up, yeah.
And oh, I'm not drawing a very straight line. but
I got it though. I see where you're coming to. Yeah, that's
Yep.
fine.
That's 25 feet from Sherman Street and from Park Street.
All right. And all you're requesting is that setback? Is
Yeah,
that-
the building meets for unit count, lot coverage, open space, parking. Our curb cut is existing. Our side setback on the Sherman side is conforming. We're proposing 17 feet and it's got a 15-foot. And then there's actually plenty of room on the other side of the driveway at Park Street, which actually maintains the lot much as it is today, where that is really the yard for the house. We're trying to leave that the same condition after we rebuilt.
All right. Board members, any questions?
I guess I have a question.
Go ahead, Brad.
The house I understand was built in 1910, and it has a cinder block foundation, which has gone through now a fire, a gas explosion, and I'm sure it's been exposed to all sorts of moisture through the years, through its 115-year-old cement cinder block foundation. What do you think the chances are of keeping any of that foundation. Because it's been my experience that those cinder blocks tend to crumble quite a bit.
To be honest, the house is not safe inside, and I haven't been in to inspect the condition of the foundation myself personally. It's maybe we're gonna try to save as much as we can save of the old foundation. It's hard for me to say without having been in there. And we probably won't know the extent until they start the demo of the front structure to see what kind of state everything else is in.
Okay, on your basement plans, do you have a ceiling height or a basement depth, I should say, of that, of what you're proposing? I didn't see anything on there.
Yeah. So in the end, we try to get the basement at 7 feet, although we're not planning to use that as living space or bedrooms or anything. It's really just storage, and the plan isn't to finish it at this stage, but to leave it as a basement. In the end, I don't have the exact answer for you as to what that height is. Mostly because I didn't go down and measure what it was beforehand inside of the building to know what the existing one is.
Okay, so I guess that what I'm getting to is, if in the event that you're basically have to tear out the foundation, which I imagine you're going to have to, you can make it to the depth that you would desire with a poured concrete foundation. So basically, you're going to have a very large hole there that you're going to pour and basically starting from scratch, from basically a brownfield, and putting in a completely new property, a completely new building. I mean, is that
in essence, yeah, this house is not salvageable. It's
so? If you're starting completely over, is there any way that you can bring the property or the building back into conformity with the lot? Because you have an 11,000 square foot lot, which is a pretty large lot for Maynard. It seems like this is be the only opportunity to make it a conforming lot, a conforming building on the lot.
the answer is that if we didn't put a conforming structure on this property, it would be in the middle of the site, which would mean that we would need to rework both the curb cut and probably not be able to save the existing garage, which was one of our goals of the project. And it would also make us much closer to our neighbors on the Park Street side, and to sort of hear where the house is already situated is the least impactful to the abutter on this side.
Okay, and the other question I have is the Sherman Street unit. Are you having a curb cut there, or I see you're having steps and an entrance? Is that
That's just a pedestrian walkway to the front door and not a curb cut. The Sherman Street will park off of Park Street, and then they can get to their unit through their back door, which is next to the driveway.
Okay, and that will that have a Sherman Street address?
I would imagine that it would, although we didn't get that far for sure yet.
Those are assigned,
By the DPW, right?
yeah, exactly.
Sometimes by the post office too gets to say, but either way, that's a little further down the road than we're at during our planning stages right now.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Brad.
Welcome.
Anybody else on the board with any questions? Leslie, Paige, John?
No,
Good.
No,
Leslie, you don't have any at this point?
I don't.
All right, Paige, do you have any questions?
no.
Oh, my goodness. John?
My questions have been answered.
Wow.
Do you have any questions?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking on Brad's line of thinking. And the thing that struck me here is the development is going to cost a pretty penny to build a 2-unit structure. And they're trying to save a garage, which is a rather cheap structure.
Is it?
Honestly, and not to just speak for Jason's family, but I think the garage was quite important to his dad and where he spent a lot of time, and he actually built it out himself and had a workshop in there. So I think keeping the garage is a little bit for sentimental reasons, partially, in addition to I'm not sure. I don't mean to speak for Jason either. He's here. He can maybe answer his own.
That is certainly an element of it. And I guess it also was a fairly new garage, not to be very, but it was actually, I believe the construction was done in 2009, and it was, he was very specific about it for sure. And it was also fairly costly everything. So we were trying to not eliminate it. But yeah, it also was a space that, yeah, it was his space specifically. And he, like I said, he kind of built it to suit very specifically recently.
Kelly, if you read, this is Bill Nemser, Plan
Mhm.
Director. May I ask a question, Mr. Chair?
Thank you for asking. Yes.
If I am understanding this correctly, to recite the existing house, you would have to eliminate the existing curb cut, and it probably would require 2 curb cuts with the repositioning of the house. Is that correct, you think?
I think it would. I think it would be a very big redesign. At this, I mean, we would start from scratch, right? We were sort of assuming that maybe we could keep some of the foundation, and that's where we had started. If the site was completely blank, and there is a little bit of grading up in that side that makes it a little bit more difficult in the upper Park Street side of the lot. Yeah, then we would probably need a curb cut on Sherman. We would probably seek a curb cut on Sherman for the Sherman Street unit, and maybe relocate this one on Park Street.
Yeah, okay. And the second question I have would be if I'm assuming that nobody's quite sure about the condition of the foundation currently. That's going to be the building commissioner is going to come and do an inspection of that.
Mhm.
And so while Brad brought up a great point about, I don't know the condition of it, and it may not be usable at all, but it may be usable. I mean, that's your professional opinion at this point, right? Depending on what the building inspector comes up with.
Yeah, and I mean, and the excavation is already in that spot, which is a big cost and a big piece of site work that if we had a different location, filling in this hole and making another hole is a different path we would be
Okay.
taking.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I'm reflecting on past setback cases that we've had. And one of the standard things is to continue a setback if somebody's going to just put let's say a garage or a porch behind an existing building. And that's not what we're seeing here. We're seeing a whole new setback request on that Sherman Street side. And to me, that's a big event, rather than you're continuing the same wall of a building along a parallel setback issue. So I'm struggling with that, honestly. As far as the foundation hole, that's grandfathered. You can put a new structure on that old location, even if you have to rebuild the foundation. That's not an issue for us. If I believe I got that correct, right, Bill?
Yes, yeah, you're correct. Mr. Chair, I think we have to go back to the recent interpretation that we've had with the courts. Happened a couple of meetings ago. I believe we had the first instance of it, but the court, recent court has been advising in general that situations where you have a nonconformity that is existing, extending or increasing it by a proposal, a special permit is the appropriate mechanism. Whereas in the past, it could have been a variance. I think that right at this point with the housing situation the way it is, the court has maybe redefined what they consider as appropriate for special permit. The reason that's critical is because the special permit is essentially determining that the good outweighs the bad. And as so far as the Sherman Street, I'm not sure I quite understand where the you're
Yeah,
saying that maybe I misunderstood it, Paul, but you're saying you thought there was a new nonconformity created? Sherman?
Right, where the Sherman Street unit, right there where the mouse is wandering around,
Mhm.
Right.
that, yes, it's within the same event, but it is significantly different than extending a wall of a foot or so along an existing nonconformity. It's a
Yes.
it's a
I-
significantly bigger event than just, you know, a foot or so into the setback requirement along an existing wall, which is what we've seen on several cases in the past.
I don't disagree, but I would say that we have a required 15-foot setback. And there was an existing encroachment in that setback. And what this is doing, the board can decide, if it's too much or not. But I think in the spirit of what the interpretations and what for all intents and purposes is court precedent would be that it is a encroachment into an existing nonconformity and thus a special permit. That would be my
Right, I'm not arguing a special permit. I mean, that's fine if that's the way we need to go. But I'm looking at the amount of encroachment there that is away from where the current encroachment is. And it's a big event.
I know, if to clarify, on this is the site plan, so this is a covered front porch, but the main face of the building is actually back at this door line, which is almost 6 feet past the 12-foot, it's pretty close even to where the setback is on this side. So the bulk plane of the structure isn't right here at 12.4 feet, but it's more back here, which is more gentle than this drawing might suggest. Let me see if I can get a good view of it. Oh, so yes, this porch is out at 12.5 feet from Sherman Street, but this wall is back further. And this wall here is already in the plane where the wall is now.
Right,
This is the wall that gets extended.
I
So it's just this little, I mean, it's the whole thing, but the bulk of the massing is not as close to Sherman Street as it is on the corner way back here at the front door of the back unit.
I wouldn't, in support of it, I wouldn't discount the fact that Sherman Street, like you're not abutting another person's house, you're abutting a street, which makes this naturally larger distance. The spirit of the regulation is kind of upheld by the fact that you've got a whole street between you and the next property, in my opinion.
Thanks,
And
Leslie.
our butter on Sherman Street is even, it's also in that sort of 12-foot line. Their house comes quite close to Sherman Street too. So we're not going to be out a lot further than they are volume wise as you pass the street facade on that side.
Okay. So I pulled up the, what does Bill affectionately call it? The staff report. And
Affectionately call it stuff.
yeah, and you have listed 6 characteristics that we need to consider. Social, economic, and community needs, traffic and parking, public services, neighborhood character, impact on the environment, and fiscal impact. Is that correct, Bill?
There are, yeah, I thought there's 7, but okay. Yes.
I only counted 6.
All right. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Mhm.
And also, Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
we do have some members of the public, just a FYI.
That's,
you wanna
yeah,
open
I
public.
was gonna get there. I haven't gotten
Okay.
that far yet.
Oh, sorry. I apologize.
But I'm just trying to focus in on what we need to focus in on as we move forward. So to Bill's point, is there anybody in attendance that wishes to speak in favor of this application?
Yeah, we would, this is Geldarts, we would be very much in favor.
Where, I need your address,
42 Thompson Street.
and where is that relative to this corner lot?
Our
Right.
backyard abuts.
Yeah, our backyard's a butt.
So this is Thompson Street up here.
Ah, thank you. Is there any specific reason why you are in favor of it? Besides getting rid of the unsightly wreck?
Well,
Please, just pass it.
it's been, the yard is, well, it's two years now.
It's 2 years.
It's
It
2
should
years.
never have happened.
Quiet.
Just please pass it.
Okay.
Right now, it's an eyesore. It's been there for quite a while. And the Shargans have been great neighbors for many, many years. We've been here for almost 50 years. And they've been great neighbors, and we'd like to see this. I think the house as it's been presented fits right in with it. For what it's worth, there was a mention of curb cut on Sherman Street. There's no curb on Sherman Street. There's no sidewalk on Sherman Street. So I don't know if that means anything, but we just be very much in favor of something this particular house going in there.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
I see a hand up. Ellen?
Yes, Ellen Duggan, 23 Park Street. I've lived at 23 for 80 years, and for 40 of those, Carol and Greg and their boys were neighbors to us, and not just neighbors, but very good friends, the old-fashioned kind of neighbor that everyone should have, caring, supportive. You had a problem, they were there for you. So I am very supportive of this. And in fact, when I think that even now, it's been 2 years, it was 2 years Labor Day weekend that this house, this explosion took place and we lost Greg. But even now, the fact that they could sell this land and walk away, but they're not. They want to develop this land and keep it in character to the neighbors, to control what goes up there so that it is characteristic of our neighborhood and it preserves where those boys were brought up. And I think they don't have to do this. They could sell the land, it could be demolished. Someone could come in and put anything they want there, but they're going, Carol and Jason and the family, to all this trouble because that's the kind of people they are. And I'm very supportive of this.
Thank you. I see another hand. Marco?
Oh, Mara.
Maro, sorry.
It's Mara Hogan. I'm on 50 Thompson Street. We're not direct abutters, but we can see the house from our backyard and from our side yard too. Greg was a friend, and our electrician, we used to hang out occasionally. And I know that when he built that garage, it was like such a, he put a lot into it. We talked a lot about it. We talked about what we could maybe do with our own horrible garage. And so there was a lot of kind of camaraderie with that. So I think that the plans that Jason has put forth does really conform to what is already existing in the neighborhood. It's not any closer to the road. And I think for the family, I think it would be wonderful to be able to keep the garage where it is and how Greg built it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the comments. Anybody else want to speak in favor of the application? Does anyone want to speak in opposition to the application? The silence is deafening. So, Bill, what's our protocol now? I just want to make sure I do it right according to you.
We should close public hearing. I mean, be neat about it. Have deliberations. I can pop up what we're deliberating on the screen share. But I would say a closed public hearing, and that I think we have all the information. The board, unless the board wants anything else.
That's a good point. Does anyone on the board have any additional questions?
I guess I do.
Go ahead, Brad.
I have one. So, is this going to, is the plan for this to be an owner occupied property and not necessarily just a rental, or maybe changed, put into condos?
So in a perfect world, my mother would reside there, but that's still kind of up in the air. I mean, we're a ways off from this building being completed. Otherwise, if that doesn't come to pass, I currently landlord 5 Martin Street in Maynard, the 2-family that's there. We have 2, happy sets of tenants, and we would just end up doing more of the same, essentially. But that's sort of, yeah, the hope is that either myself or my mom would live there. She's currently renting in Arlington, but it really remains to be seen because there's a lot tied up with Maynard and the specific property for her.
No, thank you.
Any other questions of the board? No questions. So Bill is making a blank screen. There we go.
Ed?
Thanks.
There we go.
Yeah. So I read these earlier without the formal lettering system. But the point is, we need to determine if each of these in consideration relative to the town and the neighborhood. So before we get into this, we need to close a public hearing. Is that right, Bill?
You should close the public hearing.
All right.
Motion to close the public hearing portion of this meeting.
Do I get a second?
Second.
Do I get anybody in favor? So John, are you in favor?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Paige?
Yes.
Leslie?
Yes.
And I'll be in favor as well. All right. So now we deliberate. Social, economic, and community needs, traffic, parking, public service, neighborhood character, the environmental impact, and the fiscal impact. Anybody want to make a stab at these, or should I just go off the deep end? Go ahead, Brad. You're laughing.
Okay. Yes, I believe that there's a positive social, economic, and community need. Obviously, the property will be improved, or I'm sorry, yeah, will be improved. its valuation will increase greatly. You're adding units, which will increase the population density of the community. And I think everybody in general will be very happy with having a brand new structure there, as opposed to one that had been burnt to the ground or severely damaged and unoccupied. Traffic and parking, I don't see any impact. Traffic and parking. You're using the same driveway. You may have, typically units have 2 cars per unit, so you may have 2 more cars parked there. I can't see that as being a big issue. I don't think there's going to be much of a change to the public services in terms of other than, you have another unit. So yeah, there'll be more use of water. There'll be more use of electricity. And I'm sure the gas, though, has probably been taken care of. So it's not going to be a problem anymore. It looks like the property and the proposed unit fits in with the neighborhood character. The impacts on the environment, I'm not sure about. I don't know how the water runoff is going to be affected, what trees are going to be cut down, and all that. And in terms of fiscal impact, this would be an opportunity for new growth to add to the town's town levy. So I don't see anything as an issue. And I didn't address any of the impact on the environment.
I am curious to know whether or not trees have to be cut down.
I actually don't know, Jason. Are there any big trees on that side of the lot? I'm gonna try to dig up.
There is one tree. He actually had already taken down one of the other trees. There's one tree will probably need to go based on, yeah, I think so. It's kind of in the process of dying, to be very honest with you. Too much treehouse and other things going on in it. So I think there's definitely one tree. Other than that, I don't think anything else would be impacted. I really want to save those hedges, but I think that's inconsequential to what you're referring to.
Yeah, I would love to see a native tree replace the tree that is being cut down.
Mm-hmm.
This thing about trees is quite interesting. If you watch the evening news with all the windstorms we've been having, it's better to cut the trees down now rather than have them come down on their own will. Because when they do that, they tend to fall through the roof. So if you got a tree that's close to the building, your insurance company is going to appreciate it if you cut it down. I've had that discussion with my insurance agent. So any other questions, comments, because we're in deliberation here? So we're looking for a setback. If I can go to that page, their specific request is to go to that, if I can find it, all these diagrams here. I'm looking for the setback request.
Oh, Kelly, you can pull that up if you want.
Sure. Yep, I have it open here.
You're going from 25 feet.
Yeah,
to
25 feet is what's required. Existing on Sherman Street is 12.4, and we're not looking to change that. That's a nonconformity. And on Park Street, we're at 8.3. And again, that's in an unchanged, non-conforming existing setback.
Okay, I would challenge it's unchanged on Sherman Street because you're putting an additional event down to that. So you're extending the nonconformity on Sherman.
My suggestion would be, Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
if perhaps the easiest way to do this for the board would be to allow an extension of the existing nonconformity up to I don't know, what would it need, Kelly, there to be? You're talking about the stairs, where the stairs end there?
Oh, are you talking about this little piece that
I think
those are
that's
the
what Paul's
stairs?
talking about, right?
No,
Oh, sorry.
you've got a 25-foot requirement. You're beyond that on the front,
Mhm.
on that Sherman corner at 12.4. So you're moving from the 25 down to 12.4 on in a not an unchanged, but an extension
Mhm.
of the 12.4 on the front at the corner of the intersection. So you're extending. It's not a requested unchanged. It's a requested extension of the 25 down to 12.4 to get that corner of the Sherman Street porch.
Paul, can I jump in? Because I think I want a clarification myself on this. On the Park Street side, you're using the deck as the 12.4 and the 8.3, but you're not using the deck on the Sherman Street side for the 12.4. And I think that's what's causing them the confusion here.
We
Instead
are,
of
it's the deck on both. So in both, the stair on the Park Street side is past the 8.3, and the same here. And this is a porch, and this is the main line of the building. Oops, sorry. Which is this? It's the same size porch as this one, actually.
I think it's maybe it's the steps that are throwing things off since they're the color
Yeah,
same.
that's what I
Yeah,
think.
it's not building there. That's
Right.
steps. This
Yep.
column is
Gotcha.
let's see. Let me get out of this, see if I can. Oh. Here, it's this post is at the 12.4, this one right here, and these steps are beyond, but they're not covered. There's no roof over them. They could be done out of even stone, or they don't have to necessarily be wood construction. They could be sort of landscaping. It's this porch is the part that's at
Yep.
the 12.4.
So to go back to my point, what I'm trying to articulate, John, is it is not that it is an unchanged. It is changed. It's an extension to put
Right.
in all of that stuff on the Sherman Street front. And so I'm just talking about the phraseology in the request, because if nothing is changed, she doesn't have to be here. The point is, it is being changed to put in this additional nonconformity, extending it from that corner intersection there on the corner of Park and Sherman.
Would it help, Mr. Chair, if the applicant, so if they're gonna extend the existing nonconformity, and I'm sure Kelly can come up with a number that is not to exceed, would that be acceptable?
Well, the 12.4 she's been saying, and I'm fine with that. What I'm just clarifying is it's not an unchanged event. It's a new non-conforming within that 12-foot setback elsewhere on the property. That's the Sherman Street front. So all I'm debating here is the terminology, that it is an extension of the non-conformity, not that it's unchanged.
I see.
Yes, it's new construction in a location that is not more non-conforming than the existing building is. I don't know if that's another way to put it.
Yeah,
Right.
because this is going to go down in the annals of recorded history, and we
Yeah.
have to make sure we have it accurate.
Mhm.
Because if somebody reads that and says, why bother being in front of the zoning board because nothing changed? Well, something did change. It's a new or an extension of, however you want to phrase that.
The existing nonconformity.
Yeah.
So we're proposing a new addition, non-conforming for front setback, that is not a greater non-conformity than is already existing.
There you go.
Well, it is a little greater, isn't it?
It's
No.
not worse. We're not closer than the 12.4, which is the existing number, but it's new construction. a
And-
new addition, I guess.
And you're claiming that stairs don't count
Yes.
because on both ends of the building, you have stairs trespassing into the 12.4.
Yes, and the house did have stairs trespassing into the 12.4 on the Park Street side beforehand, and that was the number from the site survey, which I assumed to be the setback, the correct setback number based on the survey, which I do have here somewhere. Here,
There it is.
so. So we moved the stairs a little bit closer to the driveway just because we changed where the front door is, but the existing stairs already do come past what is noted as the setback on the site survey.
All right, you've got a new number here, 12.9 on the Sherman Street stair corner.
The 12.9 is correct. It is a little bit further off. See, if you look real close, there's a little, the red line is the 12.4 and we're like a little teeny tiny bit off.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's true. The 12.9 on the site survey is a correct number based on the computer drawing.
all right,
I think the safest and neatest way to do this, Mr. Chair,
please.
You have two existing nonconformities. The building commissioner will say that the stairs do count as a structure. But the applicant's entitled, it doesn't change anything because of the special permit. Probably the best way around it and to meet the bylaw and to take care of the applicant, this request, we need to request, the board could grant a request to extend the existing nonconformity into this setback by X amount or not to exceed X amount. And that way it gives the applicant the ability to construct the stairs, which are, you know, really fall under the special permit, but it gives the board the security of tidying it up nice and making for a neat explanation of what occurred during the hearing. So in other words, to extend the existing nonconformity, I would say into the setback, not to exceed what I'm sure Kelly would come up with a number that it wouldn't exceed. And then the board has that security. That'd be my recommendation.
Yeah, the challenge with that is if you're going to include the stairs, that depends literally on the elevation of the porches. And if you don't know the height of the first floor off the ground because you don't know the height of the basement and so on and so forth, that could be an unknown extension of the stair treads into that zone.
It could be, absolutely, but by giving the not to exceed, you provide that level of comfort. I'm sure, you know, that this is a calculation that the applicant could provide, you know. If I'm,
Yeah, because, you know, just spinning it another way, though, I want to play devil's advocate here, is suppose you present that number or she presents that number and then decides to put the stair on the side of the porch rather than the front. So now she can make the entire porch that much bigger.
It says the stairs to encroach.
No, the stairs could go on her diagram there, the stairs could go on the left side for the Sherman Street. And so it would not be an additional encroachment.
Limit the ability to encroach to stairs.
Oh, you're going to put those fancy words in there.
Well, I'm just for problems, work a router.
Go ahead, Brad. I see your hand.
Yeah, typically stairs are not considered part of a setback. And they haven't been in lots of examples that we've done in the past in renovation or decks and things like that we've done in the past. And the building commissioner hasn't come out and ever, to my knowledge, has ever said that stairs count as part of a setback or encroaching into a setback.
That's what I thought too, but
You
Bill
know-
was saying something else.
Yeah,
Unless-
you know,
unless there was
now
a
you mention it,
landing.
I think
Unless
you're
you had
right.
a
Because
landing and then
we did
stairs
just
off
have
of
to
that.
clarify that.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I
right.
apologize because we just had that on the I can't remember which one it
I'll
was.
say Fairfield Street, I think.
Fairfield, maybe. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Brad's right, Mr. Chair. That is.
All right. So that makes it simpler. And so we're back on my comment about extending the pre-existing nonconformity for the porch on the Sherman Street unit. I don't know how to phrase that in simple motion language, so I'll leave that to Leslie.
Nah,
Oh,
she-
God, I said. Uh, Well, I don't know.
you want to look up? I have a possibility here that you can get started, Leslie.
Oh, well, so it would be. Oh, let me get I have my screaming goat off my paperwork. And have you seen these? They're great. So. There's a permit, so we're, procedural statute. I'm looking for the way it was worded originally.
Can you see the screen? Also?
Oh, yeah, okay, well,
And you just
okay,
have to
so
tailor it.
yeah, so, I make a motion to, in favor of.
Approve?
To approve the special permit to allow a second residential unit to be constructed and attached to the existing structure at 27 Park Street, that will encroach into the front setback as depicted in the petitioner's application, dated August 24th, 2023. And with the finding, but there's more, right? We have to talk about that porch encroachment.
Well, that catches within the same as what you have on the
Oh,
front. It's all within
okay.
12.4. Is
Okay,
it 0.4 or 12 feet 4 inches? That's one thing I'm not clear of. Is it,
did I think that out?
I think it's decimal, right? 12 feet, 12.4 feet.
I believe we lost Kelly.
12.4.
Ellie got thrown out. She's trying to get back in.
Yeah, but it is decimal. It's 12.4.
It's
Thank you.
12.4 feet for the Sherman. And 8.3 for Park, for Park. Street.
The 8.3 is pre-existing and not changing. It's still
Okay.
8.3.
Yeah, okay, so, and the board has found that, in granting the permit that, there is no, or that it meets the, following considerations. That there is no, adverse, social, economic, or community needs that are violated by this. That it doesn't impact traffic flow and safety, including parking and loading, that there's adequacy of utilities and other public services, that it does not change the neighborhood character and social structures, that there is no impact on the natural environment, although I'd like to see a native tree planted. And that, that there is no adverse potential fiscal impact, including impact on town services, tax base, and employment, if we grant this.
Sounds good. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Good, thanks, Paige. I would like to make a slight adjustment to what Bill is showing on the screen that Leslie read. I hear that they don't want to use the existing structure. They want to raise it and put in a new one. And so you're not attaching to an existing structure. You're attaching to a replaced or renovated structure. Because otherwise they're in deep doo-doo. They got a nice addition, but none of the original building there.
Mhm.
So I don't know how you want to rephrase that, Leslie, but I would suggest attaching it to a
Constructed and attached to a,
A
well, it
modified,
could be existing or newly built, right? Because they haven't, doesn't the existing structure depend on what they find with the foundation?
well, I understood from her testimony that they're going to tear down everything above grade.
Yeah, okay.
And so
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, then you're correct then, yeah.
attached to
The,
the replaced structure,
okay,
the damaged, whatever you want to call it,
to the to the existing
to the, yeah.
foundational dimensions of because
Yeah,
even if they put in a new foundation, it's still going to be the original footprint.
right. The footprint's the same, and we're talking about in addition to that footprint.
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Can we add a condition to this that perhaps that they would do a as-built survey afterwards to ensure that they have put it in the same spot?
And if they fail measuring into the same spot, what happens then?
They could have to move it. So
Oh,
this
that's-
gives them the incentive to make sure that they build it properly.
Doesn't our building commissioner manage that?
I don't know. I
You-
think if
that-
we
that-
if we requested that they do an as-built survey, then he won't have to do that, or he may not do that.
but we're not an enforcement board, right?
And we can put it in as a condition, I believe.
Yeah.
We're happy to do an as-built survey. We'll have the surveyor come and pin the foundation before they do any new concrete work anyway. So if you'd like to see that we put it in the right place, a lot of towns do actually. We're happy to get that survey to you after.
I mean,
Usually you submit it by the certificate of occupancy time, which kind of comes at the end of the project, but you have it surveyed right after the foundation goes in.
that helps a lot, Kelly. I appreciate you stepping up on that.
Yeah, no problem.
So we have that. Brad, is that a motion, an attachment to the motion?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I have to, I got the condition and I got that we're gonna raise the existing structure. And can we run over how you wanted the first part to read? I have like three different. I have three different versions. I want to make it the way you want it.
Well, if I was in court, I would say replay the recording.
Well, we could do that, but it was good, but it was, so we were going to allow the encroachment into the front setbacks as depicted on the plan dated. And will we attach the plan as an exhibit? Probably the
Yes.
best one.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be good.
Okay.
And that it will attach to the existing footprint.
And the structure
Maintain.
and the structure placed thereon.
Mhm.
Good.
It's hard wordsmithing this time of night, Bill.
Tell me. Yeah,
All
Sure.
right. So do
All
we
right.
have a second to Brad's motion of the attachment to the original motion?
the second.
Good. All right. So how do we want to do this? Do we want to vote Brad's amendment first and then the main motion? Sounds reasonable, right?
Yeah,
All right. All in favor of Brad's amendment? John,
Yes,
Brad,
Yes.
Paige,
Yes.
Leslie?
yes,
And I'll vote yes as well. So now to the main motion of allowing them to put this unit as if they've designed it on their various drawings. And I don't want to reiterate the motion because I would louse it up. So all in favor, John,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Paige,
Yes.
Leslie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes too. All right, so that part is done. Do we have anything else on the agenda? Because I can't find the agenda.
I didn't see anything.
Uh,
no.
We just had that's all we have. Yeah, that's it, Mr. Chair.
Good. So now I leave it to you, Bill, to describe to Kelly what happens with her approval,
Okay,
timeline of all that.
right. And we close the hearing now? Do we close it? I think we did.
We closed the public comment on her case and we had our deliberation. So you can tell her what
Right.
what happens when.
Okay, what happens when is I will draft a decision.
Yep.
Which we will have within the next few days, certainly within the next week. At that point, once it's signed by the chair, we have we'll file it with the clerk of the town clerk, and it will be a 20-day appeal period, which we notify the abutters, and provided there's no appeal, you will be able to pick up the decision with a certificate of no appeal, hopefully, and you go right to building permits. So figure, we'll get this. I'll send it to your office as soon as the decisions are recorded, and you can just mark it on your calendar, and you should be loaded for bear then after 20 days.
Great, thank you very much.
All right. So that takes care of that case. The next event on the agenda is a motion to adjourn. Anybody want to give that?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
John seconds. All in favor, John,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Paige,
Yes.
Leslie.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. I vote yes.
Those are robust adjournment votes. Good Lord. Give me a complex. Okay.
Well,
Thank you, everybody.
thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
Right.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.